Yeah, exactly. Okie dokes. Thank you, sis. And we are going to be moving into the solo layout for Kenny be in the building. So let's have a round of applause. I do got to have I've got to get you an intro for that, Kenny Ken. So right, we're moving over to our World Cup football correspondent, Kenny Ken's World Cup 2022 news update in the building.
Well, first and foremost, we're talking about football this time. You know, like we've had the virtual signalling, we've had people being criticised, but we start with England. You know, they had a game against the United States. I thought the United States were a better team, and the United States should have won the game. They were better than England in every department, in midfield, you know, slightly defensively. You know, I thought their forwards ran at England's defence and midfield ragged. And it's a do and die match tomorrow for for the United States. You know, Iranian journalists have been trying to wind up the Americans, talking about their past, about the Americans shouldn't virtual signal about Iran, about, you know, treating women in Iran. They should look at themselves. So it's a grudge match. You know, everyone knows about. Obviously, I was a kid when it happened, but you know, the hostage situation in the late 70s and 80s with Jimmy Carter. That probably cost him his presidency in 1980. So, you know, there's always going to be like a bit of beef between the Americans and the Iranians. England have got Wales tomorrow, big game. England, all they have to do is get a draw, they're through. Wales have to win by four goals to stop England from getting through. And so it's massive. But, you know what we've noticed in this World Cup? The alleged small teams are on a par with slightly on a par with the big teams. Like we saw Japan beat Germany. We saw Morocco beat Belgium. We saw Ghana have a great game against South Korea. So all these big teams with their big reputations, they're not as good as we thought they were. Belgium on the wane. Portugal, Cristiano Ronaldo still the best in the world. Messi, after losing against Japan, has got a goal. So that's hotting up. But the teams that are qualified so far are Portugal and Brazil. Both of them won their first two games. So they're in the last 16 and they can afford to rest players. But with the last few games, you know, Spain need a point, Germany have to win, and you know, Belgium have to win as well. So if you did your like World Cup bets, your World Cup draw, and you thought the big teams are getting through, you're going to get a shock by this time next week. Some of the big teams are going to be out of the tournament now. It's knockout time, penalty shootouts, tears, everyone going home. Kia Kings, you want to ask me a question about the World Cup?
Yeah, man, real quick, because I decided to check out a game because of you, but I just caught one at random. I watched that Argentina versus Saudi Arabia game. And I just got a couple questions because, like I said, I'm new to the game, but I saw several of the goals get called back. Why does that happen? Like I seen, you know, Argentina score like 3 or 4 goals. I mean, 2 or 3 goals that they pulled back, and then how big of an upset was that?
Oh, it's massive. It's massive because, you know, Saudi Arabia, a lot of their players, they're not as well known as Argentina. Argentina got a lot of people say Lionel Messi is the best player in the world, and probably they say he's probably the best player of all time. Him and Cristiano Ronaldo. And Argentina one of the favourites going into the tournament because, you know, if you put your money, the 3 teams that I thought that you could only lose this World Cup. Argentina, because they've got Messi, they've got Lautaro Martinez, they've got Di Maria, they've got players playing all over Europe. They got players coming through. They got no weaknesses in their team. But Saudi Arabia, I think what you find with a lot of the Arab teams and a lot of the North African teams, one, they're playing on virtually home territory, but the other thing as well, their fitness and athleticism is probably what's winning in the matches because a lot of these teams like Saudi Arabia, you know, Morocco's, they got players who play all over the world, so they play in top level football. So when they get to international football, it's going to be it's a level pegging. I suppose by the next time the World Cup comes to your country, you're going to see a situation where America will be strong. A lot of these teams will be strong, but you know it is still a shot because you know the Argentina have got so much experience. You know, before they lost against Saudi Arabia, they went 36 games unbeaten. They won the, you know, Copa America, beat Brazil. So they were going in the favourites. So it's a massive shot. But in terms of like the offside, it's just like, you know, unfortunately in football, we have this rule called the offside rule, which is really annoying. But I think what it is that if you're on the attack and the sort of the attackers in front of the defender, then they have to call it offside. The attacker can only be just behind or level with the defender when a or sort of an attacking pass is played through, and that's why why Argentina, although they got the ball in the net 3 times, they had to be disallowed because they're all good decisions. But there was a penalty as well in that game where it looked a bit dodgy, where there's small contact. Messi went down, and then he got a penalty. But saying that, good thing about this World Cup is that you never know. But what's going to happen is that the big team's going to make all sorts of excuses if they go out or they don't win the tournament. They're going to say that because the World Cup was held in the winter, we're not used to that. You played too many games and we're tired. They're not going to accept that that some of them are not going to get what they want. But if you're a betting man, King of Kings, if you want to look for the top goal scorer, try and watch France play, because there's a player called Mbappe. He's he's like a French superstar. He's the heir apparent to Messi and Ronaldo. So have a look at them, and also get a bit of Brazil as well, because they got a team stacked of experienced superstars. But I'll have a look at your game against Iran tomorrow, because if America, get a good result, they're going to be in the last 16. As I said before, US football is really, really strong. I know it's not massive in the US, but I think with US holding the tournament in 4 years' time, I think that it's going to be really massive. You're going to see like World Cup mania, because the rest of the world, are obsessed with football. I think in the United States, a lot of teams are now getting into it, because I think a lot of American expats who live in England, they brought their love of the game with them. And also you've got a multi-race, multi-culture country. Hispanics love football. Your Mexicans, your Puerto Ricans, like your Cubans. They bring that love of the game. And also you've got people from South America and America as well. So they bring that love of the game with them. British expats as well. So, I think the World Cup in, Canada, United States, Mexico is going to be massive. And I think everyone's going to be part of it. And I think the USA are going to have a team that I think can compete. They won't probably win it, but they get to the semi-finals. They're more than capable of getting to the semi-finals in the home tournament. Hello. That's it.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just answering in the chat. So, okie doke. So I'm back in the building. I was listening to what you were saying. Anybody got any more questions? So who are we up for next?
Well, tomorrow you got the all British clash between Wales and England and Wales, although Wales are the home team, and you got Iran and America. That's that should be a football match, but that's going to be political. And also Australia, that they won their first game for about 16 years. So they got a game 50-50 game against Denmark. They win that. They're in the last 16, first time they've done that in 16 years. So no team, the only team that should, is probably weak in this World Cup is Qatar, the host nation. But all the other teams, there's some really strong teams, good preparation. But, if you ask me to put me money in the line, I still think France, Brazil were probably the favourites, although France ain't got a midfield.
What, France, Brazil to win the whole
cup? France. But the thing is, France have had a lot of injuries. They've lost some key players. They've lost about 4 or 5 key players that would have got in the squad. But they're so strong
Germany?
because
we always lose against them at the last minute as well, don't we?
No, Germany not as strong as they were before. Germany haven't had the last time Germany was strong was about 6 years ago. But a lot of those players who won the World Cup in 2014, they've either got old or they're retired, and they've got a new team.
Yeah.
But I think with German football is that England have probably got a stronger base of players than Germany, and I think that France are levels, and you probably say Belgium as well. Germany are not as strong as they were before, but the thing with the Germans, never write them off, because there's some really, really crack German teams that have got to World Cup finals and got finals. They're a tournament team, but no, them not this time. Spain's another one you should look at. Spain play beautiful football, but they overpass.
What about any of the Italians? What, Italy?
No,
Not
Italy haven't qualified. Italy didn't qualify.
they
So
qualified this World
no,
Cup.
Italy didn't qualify for this World Cup. They didn't qualify for the last World Cup. Italian football
Really?
is,
That's slid.
you know that word you like to use, trash. Italian football at the moment is trash. It's bad.
Yeah.
They're bad. I know they won
Really?
the Euros, but there's a
Wow.
talent drain in Italy.
Yeah, wow. So we're looking at France, Brazil, and Brazil as the favourites.
Don't rule out Portugal because they still got Cristiano Ronaldo. They got some good players.
Oh,
Like
they got Ronaldo. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ronaldo.
and Portugal looked quite good against Ghana. That was it. They actually played good.
That's right. I remember Portugal got players like Fernandes. They got Lau coming through. They got Felix as well. They got a strong defence, and they got Ruben Neves who plays for Wolves as well. So Portugal are one of those sort of dark horses that if Cristiano Ronaldo gets to the score sheet and scores loads of goals, I think they'll get far in the tournament as well. I don't think people are going to want to play Portugal because of the Ronaldo factor, because they got some good little team.
Love Ronaldo. I follow him on Instagram for years. Yeah, do love Ronaldo. He's got the highest Instagram followers in the world. Guinness Book of Records.
He's worth billions.
Guinness Book of Records. Let me just tell you the number of Instagram followers, because they said it broke the Guinness Book of Records, Woo! Ronaldo. Jedi, I've just muted your mic because we're getting a lot of rustly noises that don't sound too good. So if you're not speaking, you've got to mute, bro. 5. Yeah, Jedi, keep it muted because it's just a lot of noise. 505 million subscribers. I mean, record. Half a billion.
See, that's the thing. The thing with football, the reason why it's so popular is because it's going to a lot of markets that that have been neglected, like America, which is a massive social media, like market, and it's entertainment business as well. Football's, Americans, NBC are paying a lot of money for the rights for the Premiership, so football's massive there. And you've got the Far East where there's America's got the contacts in terms of entertainment and with Hollywood and everything, but the money is in the Middle East and and Far East. That's where the dough is, and that's why a lot of Premiership clubs like to tour there. And I think what's happening as well is that a lot of them are going to Australia as well. And Australian football, they used to produce a lot of strong players playing the Premiership, but I think at the moment there's a bit of a talent drain. But I think they if they beat Denmark, that could boost football in Australia. Because I know that there's a lot of in Australian football at the moment. There's a lot of who isn't it? Rather than getting players the best players getting through.
Yeah, that would have to be Jedi to answer on about the Aussie football. I have no clue. But this is Cristiano Ronaldo's Instagram, 505 million followers. That's a clean 500 million. And he's only following 520 23 people. So this is all authentic. He ain't doing follow for follow and all that stupidity. It's just him, saying whatever he's saying in Portuguese. So shout out to Ronaldo.
He's still a bit. I think what's happened with footballers is that David Beckham, players like David Beckham, has shown footballers how to market themselves as and use the best of their sort of marketability. So, right. Cristiano and Messi, they must be worth in terms of there must be £1 billion PLCs now, both of them, because of the fact that football's gone all over the world now, to the extent that big money men around the world are going to be interested in going. I think that's the thing. And so what you're going to see in about probably 4 or 5 years' time, or if not a couple of years' time, you're going to see you're going to see a player that's going to be earning £1 million a week, if they ain't already.
Yeah,
and that's from the clubs. I think Mbappe is probably going to get to that situation where he'll probably be the first player to win £1 million a week. Can you believe it? £1 million sterling a week. But that's where football's going now. So, You know, even an average player can earn about 80 grand a week now.
Yeah, that is fucking wild. Shouts out to Ronaldo. Shouts out to anyone that's earning that money. Anybody got any World Cup questions before we let Kenny go? And then we're going back. Okay, so let me just look in the chat. So we've got Messi v Ronaldo final coming from Bizzle.
Could be. Can you imagine it if both of them has lost World Cup, and it gets a penalty shootout, and one of them's taking a winning penalty to stop the other one.
That game will stop the world. That game will stop the world if that happens. That'll be the biggest sporting event.
It will, 100%. I think it's a footballer's wet dream, isn't it? A Messi Ronaldo final. Can you imagine it? And one of them, either Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, are taking a winning penalty to get the World Cup trophy. Can you imagine that? That would be, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be mental, bro. That would be the biggest sporting moment, thing about our lifetime. I think, worldwide.
100%. It'll be bigger than Real Madrid versus Barcelona.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure.
There's a question for you, Kenny Ken, from Ben Adams. Chan, please ask Kenny Ken if that was a penalty for Portugal.
No, it was an accident, but unfortunately, they've taken away in terms of decisions now. The rules change all the time because it's got to benefit the attacker. So it doesn't matter whether it's an accident or not. If it hits your hand, then the referee's got to give a penalty because before, if it was an accident, they wouldn't give a penalty. But now it's non-negotiable. Now everything's in the favour of the attacker. You look at what's happening now. You know, we get injury time of about 15 minutes for both halves. So a 90-minute game is lasting 2 hours now because they're not only are they trying to crack down on them handballs and fouls in the area, they're cracking down on time wasting. You know, if you're an attacker now, it's your game, man. That's you're going to have enough time to win matches, and you're going to get loads of opportunities to score goals through penalties.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, yes. Sure you can. Yeah. Go ahead,
what team in history has won the most World Cups?
Brazil. They won it 5 times, and then followed by Germany and Italy. So Germany, Italy won it 4 times. Brazil won it 5 times. France won it twice. I know France won it twice.
Okay, never. We've won it once, isn't it?
England won it once in 1966.
1960 something. Yeah.
Spain have won it once. So if you look at the teams that dominate the World Cup,
and surprisingly, Uruguay's won it twice.
Yeah, Uruguay won it twice in 1930, 1950. But apart from that, the teams that dominate the World Cup in terms of most wins is Brazil, Italy, and Germany. But yeah, Brazil have got haven't won it for 20 years, but they've won it 5 times.
Okay, Dr. Paul Evans.
Okay, go ahead.
Dr. Paul Evans is asks Kenny what he thinks of Saudi bid for a World Cup soon.
Well, the thing is, as I said last week, it's World Cup. It's not Europe. It's not a Cup of Europe. It's not the South American Cup, because before, they used to have it to themselves. One year it would be in South America, 1 year it would be in Europe, or Mexico, probably in Central America, but they probably put that in South America. But now, in a day, money talks, and in terms of Saudi Arabia and UAE and Qatar at the moment, whoever spends the most money in infrastructure, whoever's got the best economies, are going to get the World Cup now. And you can't, whether we like it or not, you can't not turn down the money that comes from the Far East and the Middle East, because you'd be forced not, you'd be absolute pork chops to not do it. Because at the end of the day, I look at it this way, Russia, despite what you say about Russia, they could afford to hold a tournament. I've seen many countries bankrupt themselves when they hold major tournaments. Chile, 1962 bankrupted itself. Montreal, the 1976 Olympics, look what happened there. They basically went bankrupt, itself. So you have to be able to afford a tournament. Just don't have it for the sake of it. If you can,
that did happen. Yeah,
because at the end of the day, you got to pay for the stadiums, you've got to pay for security, you've got to pay for hotels, you've got to pay for the press box, you've got to pay for fan parks. It takes a lot of planning. If you You know, you don't just have it because you think it's your turn. You have to prove that you can afford it. And
Yeah, you can
obviously,
afford it. That's correct.
And backhanders, whether you like it or not, there's backhanders. You've got to pay, people for their votes. Just as simple as.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so well, Kenny Ken, you've been amazing. That's all the questions that you've answered, and Kenny Ken will definitely be back in the building asking more World Cup questions. And I'll have a nice little old intro. Sorry, my bad. To have it to put it in the theme of things. Tell them where they can find you, Ken.
No intros. I don't need no intros, man. I don't need no intros.
It's nice to have to break up the show. It's all good. Tell them where they can find you, Ken.
You can find me at KennyKen1972 on Instagram and Twitter. And you probably could find me tomorrow watching the England game. My mother-in-law's bought me a nice little England shirt as well, so I might as well wear it. It'd be bad manners not to wear it.
No, tomorrow you want to stay in the mother-in-law's good graces, love, as long as possible.
Do right. She buy all my football shirts. She buys me most of my football shirts from my birthday and Christmas. Why am I going to, not wear that in her honour?
Yeah, it's true. Wear it. I don't blame you. I'm with you. It's better to keep them on side than offside. Pun intended.
And I like English shirts as well. I like English shirts.
Yeah, so wear it, and then you'll give us the updates on next week Monday, will ya?
Well, yeah, we'll be getting to like the knockout stages, so we're going to know which teams have got through, and there'll be maybe a couple of teams that are going to probably be out of the tournament by the time we get there. Who knows? Maybe a big name. Who knows? We may not get the Messi Ronaldo final. We know Ronaldo's going to get to last 16, but who knows? He could be knocked out by then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would like to see if that happens. That'll be, you keep us in the loop. I do need to catch a game. I've caught none in the Bundesliga.
You've been watching too much boxing. That's what you've been doing.
Yeah, boxing and sometimes asleep. I don't know what I've been doing. But
Well, come on, the amount of hours your shows last, you've got to sleep during the day.
Yeah, I do, Ken. Quite a lot. Break it up bits and pieces. I do, man. I do. But it's all good. Back on schedule, and sometimes I'm
nice to meet you, Kings. Nice to meet you. AJ, love you, guys. Lisa, always great to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right, LadyChann. Thanks so much.
That's AJ Outlaw from Australia.